Hi, my name's Lori Alexander, and feminism's goal was to make women want to be men. That's the whole story of feminism. My definition for feminism is the complete rebellion against God's will for women. It has caused women to want to do the man's role, going to college, getting a career, having a paycheck. Feminist leaders convinced women that this was where they would find satisfaction and fulfillment, that being home, being married was oppressive, and being home with children, raising your own children, was bondage. And they've done a great job at doing that, because this generation coming up isn't getting married and they're not having children. When I went to college, there were 7 of us, and we went to college because we all wanted to just be wives and mothers and have children and be home full time with them. And all of us have done that. And it's been wonderful. We've all had trials and tribulations in our life and suffering, as everybody, but we're all still married to the man of our youth. And we've had many joys being women, being feminine women, and doing the role that God has called us to do. I went to a large junior high school, public high school, and junior high. And in junior high, we had home ec. It was for the girls only. The guys had auto shop. They like to tinker with the cars. And there was a definite distinction between men and women and what they were being trained to do back then. And so in junior high, I learned to sew. And then in high school, the girls had home ec while the guys had auto shop. And I learned to cook in high school. So it was, even in the late 70s, it was still preparing women to have feminine roles. I sewed my little daughters their Christmas dresses and other things. I sewed their Halloween costumes. And I've always known cooking was my job in the home, and cleaning and keeping it clean and tidy. Of course, I did get that feminist. I had friends whispering in my ear, doesn't Ken help you do this at home? Doesn't he do that? And he's working full time. And I listened to them, unfortunately, because my mom never, ever, ever complained about my dad not helping, change the kids' diapers, baths, raising us, or keeping the home clean. He worked really, really hard, and she appreciated him for that. And she just understood her role. They did back then as keepers at home. But today's women want equality. And that's what they were taught, to fight for equality. And what has equality gotten us? It's caused the destruction of the family and marriage. In their fight for equality, to become like men, that's all it means. And even men are becoming like women, I guess, But they wanted the same things that men were going after, which is so twisted, because a man's need to provide was God's call on men's life. And it was after the fall that they were going to have to toil in the soil. Yet here are women giving up their fertility, their youth, babies, being homemakers, loving a man for their lives, for a career, for working for a boss, for working for their clients. And they call being at home bondage. It's also such deception, women, such deception. We are the weaker vessel. We are created to be at home. We're created to bear children and raise those children by ourselves. Those children need and want their mothers at home full time with them. This is how you raise emotionally secure and stable children, by being home full time with them, loving them, caring for them, training them, teaching them, disciplining them. This is a full-time job, along with being a helpmeet to your husband and a homemaker, doing all the things that it takes to run a home. And these are all good. These are the feminine roles that God has given to us as women. He loves women. This nation needs more women who are feminine and love their roles that God has given them, who are raising godly offspring. Don't fear what's going on in our culture. I remember when my sister was pregnant with her third, she was so nervous about bringing another baby into the world because we were just about ready to go into Desert Storm. And there's always been scary periods in life. And we might be in the end times, but as long as, and I think the end times started after Jesus died. You know, life's always been hard, but even the Old Testament. But as long as God gives you babies, he wants you to have babies. He will close up your wombs if he no longer wants you to have babies. But he, or the government's going to do that, what it seems like they're trying to do. But as long as you can have babies and raise them in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. Sure, it's hard. Sure, there's a lot of suffering and pain that goes along with it, but it's good. A lifelong marriage is hard, but it's good. My husband and I are enjoying each other so much. We've been married almost 41 years. My children have a home to come to. At their weddings, they had their mom and dad together, holding hands with our arms around each other. They come to our place for Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's not dad's home or mom's home. So all of these things that God has created for us is good. Yeah, changing a million diapers, being home full time, the same monotonous routine is not easy, but neither is going to a 9-to-5 job. I taught school for 3 years before I came home full time, and it was hard. I enjoyed being home so much more, investing my life and my love and my energy into my children and my husband and into my home, making my home a warm, loving, nurturing place for my family, place of peace. It's a lot peaceful now that I don't argue with my husband. But anyway, women, stop being men. Stop trying to be men. Love the role that God has given you. Be a woman. Be a feminine woman. Buy my study guide, my Biblical Womanhood Study Guide, and go through that and learn God's perfect will for you, because you'll dig into Scripture and you'll find what God has called you to do. And I know I beat this drum over and over again, but it needs to be beaten, because women everywhere, they've been immersed in the feminist Kool-Aid. They breathe the feminist air their entire lives, even in the churches. So it's a drum that needs to be beaten over and over again. And so that women can come home, not waste their fertile years on a career and a paycheck and traveling, but on bearing and loving their husband and bearing children and raising them for Jesus. So anyway, stop listening to the lies and listen to truth instead, because God's ways are perfect. Bye-bye.